Hello, I'm Joey Jones. I'm with Madisonville Community College. I'm an instructor, and in a previous lab experiment that I had my students conduct, I had them solder alligator clips onto a lead wire as I'm showing here. The demonstration I'll be showing today is a more advanced level of soldering where I will have the students solder wires from a cable onto the solder pins of a connector. The core concept that will be demonstrated in this video presentation will be establishing a professional grade solder connection between a solid conductor and a connector pin. Let's look at the objectives. Upon viewing the video presentation as well as participating in the discussion which follows and completing the associated lab activity under the direction of the instructor, which is me, the student will be able to perform the following. Number 1, discriminate between a good solder type connection and a bad solder type connection established between a conductor and a connector. Number 2, solder a wire to the pin of a connector in order to create a professional looking connection that is representative of what it was witnessed in the video presentation. The following items will be used in the video demonstration: a 30-watt AC power soldering iron, a roll of 6040 rosin core solder, a piece of multi-conductor cable, wire strippers and cutters, a cable stripper, a 15-pin connector, the body that attaches to the connector, and a pair of lineman pliers to steady the connector and the wire as it's being soldered. Before attempting any soldering procedure, you should always wear safety protection. In my case here, I'm wearing my glasses, which will serve as a layer of protection between the solder and my eyes, and you should do the same. Now that the tools and supplies have been identified, we're ready to move forward with our procedure. The next step is to remove an inch of this jacket away from this multi-conductor cable using this cable stripper. To do that, I will insert the multi-conductor cable into the cable stripper so that the cable falls into the first notch on the cable stripper. And again, I'm about an inch away from the edge of the cable. I will rotate the cable stripper several revolutions until I feel the jacket separate from the rest of the jacket, and then I will gently pull that part of the jacket away from the cable. With the jacket removed from my multi-conductor cable, I'm ready to prepare the insulated conductors. I've chosen 3 for this demonstration, and what I'm going to be doing is removing the insulation from the ends of these 3 conductors, and I just want to remove enough insulation so that it will cover the pins on this connector. Okay, so here we'll begin. I will place my wire stripper about a 1/16 of an inch away from the tip of the insulated conductor. Squeeze the wire stripper and gently pull, and I will do that for the remaining 2 conductors. Gently squeeze and pull, and gently squeeze and pull. As you can see, I've removed about a 1/16 of an inch of the insulation away from each conductor. Now I want to trim the 3 conductors that I've prepared so that the exposed wire is the same length as the pins on the connector. So I'm going to trim these back now using my wire stripper. And I'm going to cut these back so that it's right around a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch in length. And as you can see, I'm cutting the ends of the conductors so that the exposed copper is the same length as the pins on the connector. Now, with the insulation removed from 3 of our conductors, I will now demonstrate how to tin the tips of the wires. What I'll be doing here is applying a small amount of solder to each of the conductors. And first thing I'll do is prepare the tip of my soldering iron with a thin layer of solder, as you can see. And now I'm going to apply a thin layer of solder to each conductor. Our next task is to apply a small amount of solder to each of the pins on the connector. Okay. Again, I will pre-tin the tip of my soldering iron with a small amount of solder. Upon doing that, I will apply a small amount of solder to each of the pins on the connector. And now I have prepared the upper row of pins on the connector. Now, with the tip of my conductors prepared as well as the pins on the connector prepared, I'm ready to join the two together. So I will align the tip of the conductor to the pin on the connector, apply a small amount of heat, okay, and the two will fuse together. Now I'm ready to attach another conductor to another pin. Again, they're both aligned to one another, and I will apply a small amount of heat, and the two will fuse together. I will attach one more conductor onto the connector. Again, I will align the tip of the conductor with a pin on the connector. Upon doing so, apply a small amount of heat so the two fuse. And there you have it. As you can see, I've attached 3 of the conductors from the multi-conductor cable onto 3 pins of the connector. Notice that the connections are nice and neat and shiny. There's no solder bridges between one connector and the other. I will continue to solder the remaining wires on this connector, and upon doing so, I will then attach the connector onto this cable to finish the project up.